Okay, well, greetings everyone. Welcome to ANTHROPERSPECTIVES. I'm Keith Kellershon. I'm an applied business and organizational anthropologist. Today we're headed to Mexico to speak to Oscar Barrera. Oscar has his PhD in sociocultural anthropology from the University of Washington and is the CEO of Antropologia Corporativa in Veracruz. Well, it's great meeting you today, Oscar. Thank you for speaking with us. Why don't you start by telling us what kind of work your consulting firm does and what you're doing now?
Certainly. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Keith, for having this opportunity to connect with your audience. I know it has become a reference point in business anthropology. So congratulations for the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much.
So how I became a corporate anthropologist and how I founded my business consulting business. Well, it's a kind of like a long story, but let me make it very short.
Okay.
I graduated from college in tourism and economics degree. That was my major. So, but you know, at that time, at that age, I was very enthusiastic, energetic, and I wanted to change the world. So I said, who are the most disempowered people in Mexico? Well, the indigenous people, los indígenas, no, indigenous communities. So I went to the highlands of Chiapas to develop a project. My idea was to create a tourism project so that the Western tourists will leave all the revenues from tourism in one of the most visited indigenous communities, because most of the tourists will settle in San Cristobal de las Casas, where you find all the restaurants, hotels, but they go to the indigenous communities, primarily one that is called Chamula. And San Juan Chamula only is like a zoo or a museum where tourists go, take pictures, and I wanted to develop a project in which the indigenous people will create their own tourism industry.
Mm.
So, you know, I was very idealistic. So by being in the highlands of Chiapas, I met several anthropologists. And I was just fascinated by the way they think and how they perceive reality, how you understand the culture and society. And I met a few. One of them was Pierre Vandenberg, who is in the Sociology and Anthropology department at the University of Washington. And that's how we met. And I also met another anthropologist, a really brilliant anthropologist that was so funny. He was from Mexico City. And he was probably the responsible one that I became an anthropologist, because he taught me anthropology, but in a very funny way. Everything was a laughter. Everything was just a laugh. It was just so funny. I said, how I want to be just like him. He's brilliant and funny. So that's how I decided to become an anthropologist. So Pierre Vandenberg, when I finished my dissertation, that at the end, I changed my topic. I didn't want to create a tourism project, but instead, I end up studying the imaginaries, how indigenous people construct the Westerners in their imagination and vice versa.
Wow.
So, because a basic question that posed this anthropologist, this Mexican anthropologist, said, Oscar, I mean, it sounds very nice, and so your altruistic effort sounds very, very cool, but have you ever bothered to ask the indigenous communities, what do they think of the tourists? What, I mean, are you suggesting they are so dumb that they don't know how to make business, how to profit from tourists in order to improve their lives? And I said, wow, that's very, very basic. I mean, it's very logical, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and if this Mexico City boy goes to the highlands of Chiapas in order to change the life of the indigenous communities, right?
Right.
So he put me in this conundrum, right? In this juncture, and I said, wow, okay, I better become an anthropologist.
Yeah, you learn from those experiences, don't you?
Yeah,
You know,
definitely,
yeah.
and that it changed my life. And later, after I finished my PhD, and I traveled all over the world, visiting 23 countries, and I repeatedly heard from different people, primarily in Africa and Latin America, that, oh, Oscar, please help us to go to Europe, help us to go to the States, because they said, once we reach there, all our problems, our economic and social problems will be dissolved. We need money, and once we get there, everything is going to change for ourselves and for our families. So I heard this in French, in English, and Spanish, in different languages, Wolof, Mandinga, in different languages. And I said, well, these people, and I noticed that there was this common denominator, that people's poverty, people's lack of lack of resources and lack of resourcefulness.
It's okay.
Resourcefulness, that's a big word.
Yeah.
Comes from people's mindset.
Yeah.
So because it was just a constant, it was very consistent from country to country, from culture to culture. I said, well, I think I better start doing something. If I have this altruistic sort of drive, why don't I create a company to help people with develop businesses, so that they don't feel that they need to migrate in order to improve their lives, so their families and their people. So
it's interesting, yeah.
Thus, I developed this enterprise to help people in Latin America to grow their business, to create business, to be entrepreneurs, in order to make a decent living, to improve their lives by having these entrepreneurial journeys.
Wow. So what kind of industries are some of those indigenous communities in? What is their product or business or economic target?
Well, currently I don't work necessarily with indigenous communities. I work with just entrepreneurs, people who have this desire to venture into businesses. So I help them to grow. Basically, I focus on two things. One, I focus to help them grow. I focus on their strategies, on their marketing strategies, sales strategies. I'm very creative, so I focus on how to design new products, how to design new strategies, marketing, how to create additional value to the current products or services, and also I focus on the culture of the companies, the culture change, cultural transformation. So I do these two things, and if you want, I can talk to you more about each of these.
Yeah, actually, with your intro here, you kind of knocked out the first three questions I had for you. So why don't you tell us some of your success stories about cultural transformation in these groups, in these companies?
Okay. Let me tell you the story of the most recent one. Well, it was not the recent one. It was actually from last year, but it went on this year, at the beginning of this year too, which is called a company that they sell medical equipment. And all kinds of medical equipment, from monitors to TJRs and I don't know, all kinds of medical equipment. They import these products from China and they sell them here throughout the nation, throughout the country. So in the numbers, they were doing very, very good. In the last 3 years, they were growing to a growing rate of 20%. They were doing very, very good. So the numbers were not a problem. However, the culture of the company was really, really bad. The ambience and the atmosphere of the company was very tense. They had personal turnover. People had to be fired all the time. They had to hire new people. And the company achieve results, but by pressuring, by coercing people to get the numbers. So actually, they didn't know who this anthropology guy was. They didn't care. they they knew that there was this strange tall guy that wanted to help the company to improve their culture, but anthropology is like, what the heck is that?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
however, I was strange, but also I was strange in the sense that I inspire curiosity, because as an anthropologist, my first movement was to do field work.
Mhm.
So I hang out in the offices, in the hall rooms, in the hall next to the water fountain, just observing, taking notes, sitting on people's meetings, taking notes. So people were just curious. I was just observing. And I noticed that there were major issues that needed to be addressed. One of the issues, oh, sorry for that. Let me turn this off. One of the issues was there was animosity, there was tension among people because they had systems and procedures that they were just failed. I mean, there was just terrible. So if I wanted to work on the culture, I needed to work on the procedures, on the systems, because I could not just help people to improve the relationships if the cause was still there.
Yeah.
So I also knew, and also by talking to some other colleagues, anthropology colleagues, I knew that in order to help the company to change, people needed to be aware of how bad they are.
Yeah.
If people are, it's like someone that is sick.
Yeah.
Until they become aware of their illness and they have their desire to change and improve their diets, do exercise, they will do it because they are conscientious, they are aware. Otherwise, if you give them a sermon, I'll tell them what to do, they won't do it. They have to be convinced that a change is desirable and it's something that they need. They need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I conducted the OCI, the Organizational Cultural Assessment Instrument workshop, and with in a big room with all the company, including the investors, the board of directors, managers, everybody.
Great.
We sat in a room for 3.5 hours, and we had this OCI workshop. And they were just dismayed. Not for the results, because they knew that something was wrong, but by the fact of because this instrument, the OCI, is very visual. I mean, there's no way that you can cheat yourself. You see on the paper, you see the graphics, and you see that the prevailing culture of the company was hierarchical culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like everything needed to be just authorized. People needed to be given instructions of what to do, and they better render the results. Otherwise, they will have to suffer the consequences. Mm-hmm. So they became aware that they have a hierarchical culture. And when I did that was the current culture that they had. And when I did the assessment about the kind of culture that they wish to have in the future, it was extremely the opposite.
Right.
They wanted to have an autocratic culture. An autocratic culture means that they participate in the decisions, they are creative, they proposed, they give their opinion, they have the green light just to do what they want in order to accomplish the result, and they can be as creative as they want. But that's the thing that they wanted. They didn't want to follow orders anymore. So with that experience, at the end of the workshop, people left the room with the idea, oh, there's something that needs to be done. We don't know what is it, but we need to change. We don't know how. And then here was Oscar that was going to lead the change. Was going to give them some directions, some suggestions about how to do, about what to do and how to do it. I mean, I was not Jesus Christ or anybody that was going to tell them what to do.
Right.
I mean, I just give them some suggestions. People voted, people voiced their opinion, and we went on. And so, of course, many times they say, Oscar, that sounds way too weird. This is not, we don't want to do that. I say, okay. So one of the first things that I wanted to do in order to improve the culture of the company was to create a cultural committee conformed by people from a representative or a member of each department. And they will be in charge, this committee, they will be in charge of organizing activities for the socialization, to break the ice, to be more, so that people get to know each other for who they are as individuals and not for what they do at work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this committee organized bowling tournaments, soccer tournaments, some movie screenings, some social gathering events, just to be social and to get to people to know each other outside of the working context.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that was well accepted. They really liked it, and the committee was so creative. They were genius. They had some very good ideas of how to make people to relate to each other. They had some very children games, things like that. They were very, very creative. They were very, very creative. So that's on the one hand. And also, in order to address the issue of the systems and procedures, I conducted workshops in which I helped them to visualize their pain points. What are the causes of the frictions? And then I helped them in these workshops to come up with suggestions, a new set of rules of how to avoid these problems and these frictions. So everybody loved it because a new set of rules was established, and once all the procedures and systems were changed and a date was decided to implement them, the first week was a little bit tense because everybody had to comply, including the owner and including the board of directors, everybody. So it was a little bit tense the first week because let's say that some equipment needed to be shipped to a client. However, the new rule was that no shipment will be allowed after 1 p.m. because otherwise the people in charge of the packaging will be so stressed out to put everything in UPS for the shipping. So everything needed to be ready before 1 p.m. So in the past, the owner or anyone with authority will call the shipping department and say, hey, this is an order, just ship this because I'm telling you.
Yeah.
This is urgent. So with the new set of rules, those kinds of things were not allowed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So everybody had to align to the new rules that everybody agreed upon. So that's how I address the issue of the systems and procedures, and with the activities of the OCI and the activities of the cultural committee, people start to change their stories about who we are and what we do in our company.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And in order to reinforce that this change in people's experience of their work, I conducted workshops on time management, on ethics at work, and all these kinds of these kinds of topics on soft skills that some people call it soft skills, right?
Yeah.
And also I encourage people who had some skills who also conducted workshops within the company. So there were a lot of people who jumped in and talk about emotional intelligence and things like that within the company. So everybody start to feel and experience the company in a different way. And in 6 months, after 6 months, the company start thriving tremendously. The turnover disappear. People now are more loyal to the company. Of course, I mean, this is not a final product. There's still margin to grow. However, they made a radical change and for the benefit of the company, to the extent that when the pandemic arrived in March and everybody had to work from home, everybody was just, okay, we can deal with this. We know how to work together, and everybody was more patient with each other. Didn't have to freak out because, oh, somebody's not connected. What is going on?
Right.
So that's a story of the culture change within a company.
Yeah, and that's really good because, companies like the one you were talking about that have this, what they know in leadership circles as this compliance culture, everything, there's a lot of procedures, but everything is emergency and everything is urgent and everything has to be done right now. And I've worked at places like that, but I've also worked at places where the kind of socialization among employees is kind of discouraged, right? Like, you'll see people like talking over the water cooler or just talking in general, or just, being friendly with each other. And sometimes bosses don't like that, but what they don't understand is how important that is. Yeah, they may not be talking about work stuff, but they are reinforcing their relationship with each other. So when it comes time for them to work together, they're on friendly terms. There's a less conflict, there's less tension. So it doesn't matter if it's bowling or it's having lunch together in the cafeteria, those things are so important for a company so that they can build, this sort of in-group cohesion among their employees, build teamwork, build cooperation. And that is going to, pay off for the company in the long run, a lot more than just constantly, pounding people for not doing this right and not doing that right. And the small little things that, employees, because no employee is perfect. Every employee is going to make mistakes and every employee is going to, not do things right. And the energy it takes for a manager or a boss to, micromanage and to, try to whip employees in line, it's not worth it. You have to build a sense of community. I mean, the workplace is a village. It really is it's a cooperative village. And a lot of companies don't realize that, but it's so important for them to realize because, again, they're going to be able to have better teamwork, better in-group cohesion, and really better compliance with whatever policy or procedure they have, because they kind of have this sense of, we're all in this together. We've all got to get this done. And then they're going to have a sense of pride in the company. They're not going to dread going to work. They're going to have less turnover, and build that pride that every company wants their employees to have, So I think what you did there is extremely important. And you probably, without realizing it, you probably saved that company from bankruptcy or disaster.
Yeah, in the following years, certainly. I'm convinced of that. Yeah.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think they wouldn't be able to save the company in the next 5 years or so, because it will be very disastrous results. Yeah. And also, let me mention also that one important thing that I realized with working with that company and with other ones is that me as an anthropologist, I have to give them some guidance on how to change themselves.
Right.
Because I remember that in my research of coming up with ways of helping this company, I came across with this book of the 5 languages of communicating appreciation in the working place. So that's an amazing tool because the way people feel appreciated within a company vary from person to person. There are some people who are very kinesthetic. There are some people that are very visual. There are also people who are very, they want the facts. No words. I don't need your words of appreciation. I need the facts. Show me that you appreciate me, right? You find all these different ways of expressing appreciation. So if you don't shed light in a company of these different ways in which people communicate, people are going to get lost. So I conducted workshops on this topic, and it was very, very useful. It was very, very helpful for people to communicate better in a more assertive way, in a more impactful way.
Yeah, fantastic. So given your stories and your journey, what do you think are the top skills that anthropologists can bring to business?
There are a few, but the most important one, I believe, is, which I try, probably this example of the culture change with this medical equipment company showed, is the systemic thinking that anthropology provides to companies, in which we're able to see the whole picture, the pieces and the interaction among the pieces, and the way in which that company inserts within the whole. This way of seeing reality, of identifying the pieces, the connection among the pieces, and their relations with the rest of the economy, the politics, and everything within the nation and the world, we are able to provide with solutions. We're able to provide with a better way of looking at the company. We're being more resourceful for a company to be led in a better direction to get to their outcomes in a shorter, faster, and more cheapest way, more inexpensive way, affordable way.
Yeah.
I think that anthropology has this amazing quality to see beyond the user experience, to see these different layers of realities that overlap and that establish a dialogue with one another, and we are able to help the company. I think this is one of the best, one of the main contributions that we as anthropologists can do for businesses.
Yeah.
And if you want, I can give you an example about that. For instance, just recently, I worked with a company that they sell glasses. Actually, these glasses are from them. These glasses are from them. So with the pandemic, their sales collapsed way beyond 60%, because most of the customers were walk-in customers that they purchased their sunglasses and prescription glasses, but with the all restrictions in the mobility, no customers visited the store. And before I jump in, they were doing some advertising in social media with very little success, not that much success. So they contact me, and I start working with them. And I said, well, they said, well, first of all, we need cash flow. How are we going to do it? So I said, well, I don't know. I said to myself, I don't know. I don't know. But so I started as an anthropologist. This is where it comes the systemic thinking, right?
Yeah.
I said, and then I asked, okay, tell me, what have you done? What strategies have you used to sell in the past before the pandemic? What kind of records do you have? What kind of efforts have you conducted in the past that have been efficient? What have been less efficient? So I started to explore and dig and ask questions. And I was able in my mind to just picture these different dots and realities and try to connect the dots. And I discovered that they had a not very good, but enough database of clients that they started a year ago with some information about the name and their last purchase and their phone numbers or email. Even though they had hundreds and hundreds of clients in the past, they only had barely 100 in this database. And I said, well, okay, let's start with that. Let's start with these clients. So what we're going to do, I mean, these are just my suggestions, right? I am an anthropologist. I'm not God.
Right.
So I said, okay, these are my suggestions based on the information that you are providing me. So with the information you're providing me, there's no way that we're going to force the clients to walk in to the store. But you have a database. So now let's make ourselves be useful to the clients. And they say, like, oh, useful? What do you mean? So we're not going to just call them and sell them, hey, we have the new glasses, purchase them. And I said, no. And this is where I start borrowing from my experiences with other companies, including this medical equipment company. One of the things that I observed in this medical equipment company is that the sales department, they have this very, very, very insightful way to conduct their sales. They call their clients and say, hey, how, Dr. John, how's the monitor that you bought from us? Is everything working fine? Do you need anything? Is there anything that we can help you with? Do you need instructions? So they made themselves useful. So I said to this optical, this optical business client, said, so we're going to create a script, and we're going to make ourselves useful to the clients. So I discovered that in this during these sessions, during these interviews, that people normally lost their glasses 3 months in an average period of 3 months, mainly sunglasses. You put them anywhere, or you sit on them, or you just braid them, whatever. So it's very common. And that's why many people don't buy expensive glasses. They buy just something that they can be replaceable because they lose them, they break them, or the dog chew it, right? So I discovered that info. I said, well, we created a script in which we show ourselves useful to the clients. How's everything working with your new prescription glasses? Are they working fine? The prescription are the legs just working fine? No, everything is loose. No screw is loose. Is everything fine? So step by step, we follow the conversation to show that we care to the client, and show that we have, in case they need it, we have something for them, whether some glasses or prescription glasses for them or for a relative. It was not the idea to push the sale. It was the idea to, hey, here we are. We're just letting you know that here we are. In case you need us, here we are. So with that strategy, with this script, following this script, the customers began to show up, and they increased their sales 20% within 1 month, just by doing this exercise. Just by doing this exercise. And it was not just the brilliant anthropological research. It was just by connecting the dots. It was just by connecting, and by helping them to see this new philosophy in business that the owner and the people that work in that company, they didn't understand at the beginning. Now they understand. I will give you a beautiful example that I was so proud of them, because I tried to convert them, almost like a religious conversion, right? I tried to persuade them, like, hey, listen, we want to serve the clients. We don't want to push the sale. We want them to make the company a key factor for people to change their lives, so they have a better vision. They can see their life better. So look, the contribution of your company to the improvement of the life of your customers. Don't see them as wallets. See them as human beings that they have problems, and you have solutions, and you can help them to have a better experience of their life, to improve their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, it was like, okay, Oscar, just whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when, as the consulting went on and on, I provide them with examples of my own examples and with examples of other cases. I provided even with a personal example that I saw. I experienced myself in Berlin. I live in Berlin 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a problem with my glasses. So I went to an optical store. There was a problem with one of these little things in the glasses.
Yeah.
So I went to have it fixed, and I said, okay, how much? And I said, oh, it's nothing. I said, what? What do you mean it's nothing? Oh, yeah, it was just a little something, and we are happy to do it for you. I said, oh, wow, really? I felt so touched. I was like, wow, that's very nice. So when I shared this story, this personal story with my client, and I said, really, Oscar, did they do that for you? I said, yes, because just look, I'm telling you this story. If I had paid for that service, I wouldn't have had a reason to share that story with you. So what you want is to create a wonderful experience in your customers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so that if a customer comes in and you fix it and you say, please, no, it's our courtesy, the policy of the culture of this company is we want to make you happy. We want to really be useful, resourceful. So we can fix this for free. But in case you or a relative of yours or a friend of yours need glasses, please think of us.
Right.
Please think
right.
of us.
And that's
So-
contagious because
Mhm.
if they're taken care of very, very well, they're going to tell their friends. Next time one of their friends say, oh gosh, I need new glasses. These are really horrible, blah, blah. Oh, you got to go down to this guy here. He'll take really good care of you. And if you break them or something, they can replace them for you and fix this and fix that. That's how that works. That's that whole word of mouth, basic consumer strategy. So that's incredible.
You just say the testimonial of my client. Because he said he was so amazed the first time experienced that. He said, Oscar, a customer just came in and we did what you told us, and I'm starting to realize that it really works because I went so far to tell them what you need to show in the relationship with your clients is that we don't care about your money.
Right.
We care about your well-being.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is what you need to tell them. You need to verbalize this to your clients. You have to make them feel that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the owner told me the other day that they had this amazing experience in which a client came. They treated very nicely. They said like, Oscar, we went beyond what was expected from us. And amazingly, that client referred us to a friend. That friend came, bought from us, and was so amazed that it referred us to another friend. So this is amazing, Oscar. It works. They go, yeah, it works.
It's great.
It's amazing. They go, yeah, man. They go, this is how you make business by changing people's lives, by focusing on the individual and not focusing on the money, not focus on the transaction, but focus on helping people to improve their lives.
Yeah. So what do you think companies need to know to understand the value of the anthropological skill set?
I don't think they need to know. I don't think they need to know anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they need to, because it doesn't have to come from them. It has to come from us, from anthropologists.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If the business sector, if companies do not see the value in us in anthropology, is because we haven't been capable enough, good enough to communicate the message.
Mm.
I mean, this is the rule of business, right?
Yep. Right.
You can. This is the entrepreneur syndrome, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you think that your product is great. This is the best product, the best services in the world, right? But like I had a client. he's in the fumigation business. He plagues pet and you know, when they have these bugs and they use this bug control business.
Okay, not sure.
Cucarachas. How do you call that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, when they have these cucarachas and they have all these problems with insects, and they go then to kill them.
Oh, exterminator.
Yeah, exterminator, right? Yeah, like an exterminator. Yeah, I forgot. You know, I'm in Mexico and I haven't been used. I don't use my English very often.
That's okay.
Very often.
Okay.
An exterminator, right? So this entrepreneur was so proud because he had these international certifications, and all his exterminators, his employees, were not just random people; they were engineers, and he also. But he complained that the companies, his clients, went for cheaper options than him. And I said, we have the best. We are the best. Mm-hmm. And I said, but who cares? Your customers don't care. What should they bother? What should they care if you have these international certifications? If you have the most well-trained people, what should they care? Because don't focus on you, focus on them. What are the solutions that you bring them? What kind of transformations you provide to them? So instead of making it about you, make it about them. So I use this analogy also with anthropologists. Just show your potential clients or show your clients all the transformations, all the benefits that your work as an anthropologist can do. They don't need to try to understand you. That's your job as an anthropologist. You need to show them. Mm-hmm. If you are not able to show that the benefits of your work is because you don't have a good value proposition. You don't understand your client. You need to understand your client. And if you understand your client, you are able to do a very powerful, a very irresistible offer. So we don't need to be understood by nobody. We need to, as an anthropologist, we need to understand the market. We need to understand the customers and make them see the value that we provide to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, so, this is my perspective.
No, that's good, because it leads into the next question is, what can we do to help advance applied anthropology in business and in the workplace?
Well, I think, one of the things that it really helps, that it will help, is that if we as an anthropologist understand business. Yeah. When I went to graduate school, nobody taught me about marketing. Nobody taught me about customer acquisition. Nobody taught me about the lifespan of a client. Nobody taught me about how to design a strategy. Nobody taught me, all these things that you need, all these tools and basic, how's it called, the basic operating system that you need in order to function in the business world.
Right.
If as an anthropologist, if you don't have this operating system, you are lost. So I think as an anthropologist, you need to know about sales, you need to know about marketing, and you need to know about all the kinds of things that you don't learn in graduate school or in anthropology. You need to know about business, mm-hmm. how to deal with objections.
Right.
Uh-huh. All these kinds of things that if you want, as an anthropologist, you don't need more anthropology. I mean, you don't need to learn more tricks or tools I think what you know is probably enough to make a change, to make a difference in the life of a company, mm-hmm. in the life of the people in the company. So you just have to find better ways to communicate the value that you provide to them, the transformation that you provide to them, mm-hmm. and you need to speak the same language. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, people won't be able to see the results that you provide to them.
Right.
So you need to learn about sales, need to learn marketing, need to learn about the basic stuff like dealing with objections, create an irresistible offer, value proposition, this basic stuff that you have to learn in business. And this is the stuff that I have to learn the hard way because nobody taught me that. I had to learn myself. I had to teach myself. I read a lot of books. I listened to hundreds and hundreds of podcasts. I took lots of courses in business, and I had to teach myself how to do this.
Mm-hmm. you know, it's interesting you say that because when I got my master's degree in organizational, business and organizational applied anthropology, I didn't focus on like the sort of user experience or the marketing or anything like that. So I had come across a job description one day on LinkedIn about looking for marketing segmentation. And the way the job description was, it looked like something that I would be interested in doing. The company was very interesting and what was being done was very interesting. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know much about marketing or what is the segmentation thing? So I looked it up and did my own research. And then like within a minute, I understood it, you know. A lot of people say, well, there's no way you can understand marketing and segmentation within a minute. But with the anthropological skill set, you understand segmentation has to do with the population. What different groups of people are out there that could potentially buy a certain product, and what are their needs? You know, this particular job had to do with, you know, well, it didn't really have to do with it, but it had to do with segmentation, all aspects of a certain culture. And my first thought was, well, refugees, right? Refugees have a lot of needs. Immigrants have a lot of needs. So what is it about them that would make them want to buy a product when they don't have too much money, right? So it really got my wheels turning in my head to thinking about all this. How would you market to immigrants and refugees to try to help them do what they need to do and that sort of thing? So that was kind of a realization. I think sometimes when you have anthropology in your background, for some of these other business areas, all you do is a little research and you can get it like that. You know, you understand what it is. So, and then later, I even did an article with a marketing consulting firm. We collaborated on an article about marketing. And, you know, I've never had any marketing experience. I've never done marketing, but I understood what they wanted me to say in terms of their article, and I was able to line it out. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard at all. So it's amazing to me how much anthropology can give you and can take you into areas that you've never even experienced before. And this is like, you know, I have like 20 years in sort of corporate environments. So, you know, but I still never touched marketing. So I understand all those basics you have to have. But with the anthropology on top of it, boy, does it make it that much richer and makes you, I think, more competitive as a candidate for those companies or as a consultant or anything else.
Yeah, you know, I think you hit it on the spot when you say that as an anthropologist, it's very easy to digest information such as marketing, sales, customer acquisition, things like that. And by listening to you, just reminded me of a case of a client that they have this clinical lab business in which they take blood tests and urine tests, all kinds of tests, right? They have this lab business company. And they were struggling because it was a family business and there were corporations that began to appear in the city and they offered very competitive prices that this family business couldn't compete with because these corporations bought all the solutions that needed to do all these testings. They import them in big quantities. They got big discounts. And in this family business, they have to buy local. They couldn't buy from companies overseas. So they said, Oscar, how are we going to deal with these companies that we cannot compete with price? So by just reading lots of things about marketing and lots of things about market niche and everything. So I start asking questions. It's like, hey, tell me, what are the main, what is the profile of your customers? What do they need? What kind of services or lab tests they want? So I discovered that there was this culture among doctors that when a doctor receives a patient and the patient needs some lab tests, the doctors have these labs, these company labs that they refer them because these are the trustful ones. I mean, don't go to the other ones that are not trustful. Go to these ones because these are reliable, but the doctor gets a cut, right? Gets some money
Yeah.
referring. So and this was something that everybody knew, but nobody talked about. There was money managed under the table. So I learned about this. I knew about this practice, but it was very obvious. And this family business company complained about this culture among doctors. And I say, okay, well, then as an anthropologist, I began to trace these analogies and to do this border crossing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I helped a friend of mine in a business where he sells cars, and he's not in the business of selling used cars in Mexico City. He's in the business of selling trust. Because if you want to buy a car, he's going to provide you with a service that he's going to do the research that the car was never stolen,
Mm-hmm.
that the car is in excellent shape. You won't have to invest in repairs in the next 6 months or a year. So he does all the research, all the work. He provides you with trust. So I said, hey, so for this lab business company, and I said, we're going to do something like that. So we're going to provide the doctors with a very clear, and also I forgot something, a very, very important issue here, is that my friend who has this selling car business, he lets the owner of the car and the buyer of the car know that he's going to be the person that is going to be the intermediary in the transaction. So he's going to receive a percentage. Mm-hmm. Everything is very clear. Mm-hmm. I mean, he receives a percentage from the transaction. That's his benefit. Mm-hmm. But he sells trust to the buyer and trust to the person who sells the car. So I said, well, let's do something similar here in this lab business company. So we're going to make it very explicit to the doctor, like, doctor, we want to benefit you.
Right.
We want to benefit you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's not going to be under the table, like, we're going to follow this strategy. So with this company, I designed a very clever strategy. Well, I thought it was very clever because I sat with them and I said, this strategy is not for all the doctors, not your clients. This is going to be for a handful of your of doctors, of your friends and a friend of friends, because I mean they are in the business. So this circle is very small. All the doctors and the labs know each other. So I say, you're going to do this at the beginning. The initial step is going to create this offer, this value proposition. You're going to work with this doctor and say, okay, we want to be your business partners. We're going to be your private lab. Mm-hmm. So all your patients are going to be sent to us, and we're going to have a control. We're going to provide you with these cards with a number, and the patients will come and will give us the card with a number. So you as a doctor will have the control of how many patients you send us, as well as us, and you will receive benefits, economic benefits, based on the amount of patients that you sent us. So the more patients you send, the more benefits you will receive. Mm-hmm. So that was a brilliant idea that they start to implement, and it was just very good because that's based on trust and based on the transparency of the transaction. Mm-hmm. People start to build businesses, and also it was very clever also because in addition to the business that derived from the patients arriving to the lab to do the test, we also give them the option, hey, you're here, you will see that your lab results are going to be fast. We will send them via email or via WhatsApp the results to you and to the doctor, so you will have the results immediately. And also, we want to benefit your family. So in case your family or a friend needs a test, think of us. Mm-hmm. And again, the referral business. I mean, yep. all these ideas came from an anthropologist who was able to see all the dots, all these frictions, and that I convert them into opportunities by just having a different look. By how can I convert or transform this obstacle into an opportunity?
Right. Right. Well, that's really all the questions I have for you today. Is there anything else you want to add?
Probably yes, but I cannot think of anything. I cannot think of anything right now. But yeah, is there anything that you want me to expand more on?
Wow, not really. I mean, you have such great stories and such great success stories and great experience. I'm sure there's, so much more. We could probably talk for hours.
Yeah, they have very more stories to share,
Yeah,
but probably this should be enough for right now.
Yeah, but I think it's great. I really like, some of these interviews I've done have gone into other countries like Austria and Spain, and now I've got Mexico. So maybe my new goal will be to get someone in every country.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
Definitely.
great.
You
That's
should.
great. Well, okay, I'm going to let you go, and I'll probably post this coming Sunday.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to connect with your audience, and congratulations for all the good work that you're doing with this.
Thank you so much, Oscar. I appreciate it as well.
Thank
Bye.
you.